Today on the show, we are talking about productivity, and I have brought my most productive friend and work colleague, Annabelle Bishop. She's joining the show. She's from Boldside. She works with me. We've worked together for 7 years, so poor Annabelle. But here she is. Hey, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Shell.
I brought you along because you've dealt with my chaotic world for a long time, and I'm not a very organised person, and you are the most organised person I know. You get more done than anybody else, and I'm like, please help us all get more productive. So are you ready to get into it and teach us your ways?
Yeah, let's get into it.
All right. This is a podcast about making work work. You'll learn about leadership, career growth, and how to navigate those weird work challenges. I run a HR consulting business called Boldside, where I help leaders build epic team cultures. If you lead a team or run a business and you think I can help, let's connect on LinkedIn. My name is Shelley Johnson, and this is Work. I want to know, what are your rapid fire productivity hacks? What things can our listeners learn from you, wise master?
Well, really, I'm just powered by sugar-free Red Bull, and so that's how I maintain my productivity throughout the day.
Love an energy drink. I'm always like, what are those energy drinks?
Sugar-free Red Bull all of the way.
You should get sponsored by them.
Oh, that'd be great if you're listening. Awesome. No, but in all seriousness, there are a couple of things that I've learned along the way that have really helped me with productivity. So one of the things that I do, which is rapid fire, is if you have emails in your inbox, when you're looking at them, if it can take less than 5 minutes, deal with it straight away, and then everything else, assign out to a task in your workflow management system if you have one, Asana, your paper to-do list, Trello, whatever you've got, assign it out to that. Don't let your inbox own you. Have rules on how you're going to deal with it and specific times.
Okay, just hold up a second.
Okay.
You've seen my inbox. It's a terrible, terrible place. So dig into in detail for us what you actually do.
Okay, so I like to have 2 to 3 slots a day, which is email time, right? So in that 30 minutes of email time, I go in and I look. If there's things that I can deal with straight away, within 5 minutes is the rule, then I deal with it then and there. If it's going to take me over 5 minutes to action it, I then put it into, love to use Asana. I'm a big Asana fangirl, but you can just put it on your paper to-do list. That's a really easy thing. And you put it down to do it later and when you're going to do it. So you actually then fit in that longer task into your priorities. Because otherwise the problem is if we just go into our inbox, it ends up owning us because we actually might have 10 other more important things to be doing. But instead we see this one pressing thing and then we go, 90 minutes has gone by and I've just worked on this one email that came in. But what we actually need to do is deal with the quick wins and then reprioritize everything in those 3 checks per day.
So then when you just schedule it in to your calendar, it goes from, you put it in your Asana list and then it goes into your calendar to be actioned, or how does that work? Or do you have time in your schedule allotted to just particular project work? How do you do your calendar and your Asana list or your task list?
Okay, yeah. So what I like to do is I like to make sure I have that time aside. That's my specific email time. And then I like to have deep work slots. So I have 2 deep work slots a day that then I put in of 90 minutes, which is from Cal Newport's book, Deep Work. And I love that because it's this idea of if we have distraction-free time in our calendars, we're actually going to get through so much more. So if you have 2 90-minute slots a day where you can prioritize project work or strategic work that you need to get done, and you switch off the phone, switch off the emails, you don't action things as they're coming in, and you actually focus, you might only be spending 90 minutes, but you're probably going to get through about 3 to 4 hours of work during that time.
Yeah, so you're using those 90-minute slots to get through. Are you monotasking? Are you focusing on one particular thing only, or do you have multiple things that you need to action in that 90-minute deep work slot?
It depends. So I do like to do a bit of pre-planning of my week, and I usually like to mark out deep work and then put the topic that I'm going to be covering. So there might be a couple of rapid fire things that I want to focus on that isn't necessarily just one big project that's going to take 90 minutes. So it will depend on what I've got going on, but the idea is for it not to be, email replies and things coming in. It's actually focused time to get through those big ticket items that I need to get off my to-do list.
And do you schedule that time in the morning or in the afternoon? Do you find there are times of the day where you work best or maybe not your best? What does that look like?
Well, yeah. So I think I am not a super productive person in the early morning. So like I'm not a 5 a.m. riser.
Seriously, that book, like the 5 a.m. Club, I was like, why? Why? And I'm sure, and then all this stuff about the morning routine people who are like, I love you, I am not you, and I'm glad that you aren't either.
I know. I wanted to be that person. Like in my heart, I wanted to be that person, but I just am not.
It's because we think that if you're a morning person, you must be more successful. Yes. But it's just complete. It's like, actually, what about all the night owls? What about all the creatives who are doing their thing?
Yeah, and that's exactly it. So for me, I find my best flow actually comes in the afternoons. So I get in the flow in the afternoons or the nighttime. So it'll just depend on what I have on. But my most creative flow, to be honest, does happen really late at night. And if I can get the space to do that, I like to do that once a week because my best ideas come from that time. But in terms of my day-to-day usual work, my afternoons are my flow, and I often have to like look at the clock and be like, oh, I've got to go to the gym or I've got to do daycare pickup because I am in such a flow state. And so I tend to make sure that I have that deep work time in the afternoons.
Yeah, right. And I think it is important to know for anyone who hasn't done this work, finding out when you're most likely in the day to get into your flow state is really helpful, because if you just worked around, and I know not all workplaces can do this, so hear me, like I acknowledge that not everyone has this privilege and luxury to be able to pick your hours. But let's say you do work better of an evening and you can, in an hour and a half, pump out 4 hours worth of work because you get into the zone, versus like me some days where I'm sitting at my desk, I'll twiddle my thumbs and I'll be like, I was literally just chained to my desk, but I was not productive at all because my mind was just a big fog. You know, so finding when you have those rhythms where you can naturally get into the zone versus, you know, the foggy brain. You know, I feel like I got the foggy brain right now.
But I think it's actually finding this also the things that help you get rid of that foggy brain. So like for me and other productivity hacks, you know, it's not just the flow state, it's what are those practices, and I'm not trying to sound all morning routine-y here, but it's like, what are the practices that help you get into your most focused state? Is it the sugar-free Red Bull? Or for me, another thing that I need to exercise. Like I know I cannot think straight at work if I don't exercise. And I'm not saying that's for everyone, but for me, it definitely is something that I need to build into my routine. Otherwise, I'm not a very productive person at all.
What are some of your other hacks? Because I know you've taught me a stack in this space.
Yeah, well, my passion for productivity really came because I did want to find, like, I don't want to just be working hour for hour forever. I'm like, how can I hack time and make more time out of the day? And so I've like looked up a bunch of stuff and I figured out a few things that work. So one of the ones that I love is from Andy Frisella. He talks about this idea of a power list. I've slightly adapted it to what he kind of set it out to be. But essentially the power list is this idea that when you look at your work, you identify what are the 5 key things that I need to get done today. So you limit it to 5 key things and you write those down on your power list, right? And you work through, that's your focus. You don't focus on anything else. So close the emails, turn off the phone. You work through those 5 things relentlessly. And if you finish those 5 things, for all you competitive people out there, you get to write down a W on the bottom of your page. And what does that W mean? It means you won the day. And the idea is if you can get through those 5 important tasks, you've won the day, you can finish for the day. What are the 5 things that you need to get through? I'll tell you what, it's a game changer. You've tried it, Shell. What did you think?
Well, so, yeah, you bought me a book, like a Powerless book. And for me, everyone who's listened for a long time will know this about me. I have not and am not an exerciser. An exerciser? Is that even a word? Obviously, it makes sense. I am not someone who exercises. Anyway, so like I've never been that into it. But I knew I need some kind of physical thing, like just doing the thing, whatever it is. And I was like, what do I need to do? I need to do some kind of exerciser thing. Anyway, let's get to the point. So I wanted to build a habit of doing a daily walk. And the power list is the reason that I do that now. So I have probably done I put the almost in an asterisk, daily walk for about 18 months. It's probably the longest I've stuck to any form of exercise in my life. And it's not a big thing. It's kind of a stroll, like a gentle stroll. But for me, that has been like, I would say close to life-changing, because I do all my creative thinking when I'm on my little walk. I'm out in nature. Like, it's really good for my mental health. I know on the days when I haven't had my walk, I get quite, like, I find myself getting quite anxious. And so the power list strategy of I put the walk as my number one, and if I tick that off in the morning, I already felt like I'd won the day. And now it's no longer on my list because it's just a habit. So I don't need to add it to the list anymore because it's just become part of my life. But if you hadn't introduced me to that idea, I don't think I would have, just having it as one of the 5 things I must do. I cannot finish my day or win my day without doing that daily walk has been a game changer for me.
Love that. Love to change lives here. We do.
Yeah, for all the exercises out there, you know, just love it.
So good. You can thank Andy Frisella for that one. One of my other absolute favourite productivity hacks is from the book Eat the Frog. And it is just that.
Please explain, because I'm like, what the heck are you talking about?
Yeah, so I can't remember the country, but in an Asian culture, it's this idea that they would get served this meal and there would be a frog on it. And if they ate the frog as the first thing, it would give them luck. And so this concept of eat the frog when it comes to productivity is that we do the hardest thing first at the start of every day. So you make your priority list. I love to do my priority list, to be honest, before I clock off for the day or before I finish and go spend time with my family, so then I can really switch off my brain. And so I prioritize all my things then. And so what you want to do is highlight what's the first thing that you're going to do in the morning. What's that number one thing on your power list? And so if you do that first thing in the morning, one, you're already conquering the hardest thing, but you also feel so bloody productive because you're getting that thing done straight away, and it really then just puts you in that flow state and it puts you in that motivated state for the rest of your day. So then you end up maximizing your productivity that way.
It reminds me of something Chris Williamson said from the Modern Wisdom podcast. He says this thing about anxiety cost, and he refers to it as if you have this thing on your list. So for him, it was like meditation. He wanted to meditate every day. And if he didn't do it first thing, he would just be thinking for all day, I need to meditate, I need to meditate, I need to meditate. And then the anxiety of not doing the thing that you said you would do actually has a cost to it. And I think it's the same with this idea of eat the frog, like do the most difficult task first, because you actually don't then have to pay the cost of having that sap all this mental energy in your brain just thinking about, crap, I've got to do that thing. So I do love that, and I'm really glad that you kind of have shown me, okay, well, if you do the worst task first, it's all downhill from there.
100%. And I think you're so right with that. We actually can lose so much time, energy, and productive space thinking about the things that we have to do instead of actually just doing them. Like, we actually just need to do the thing. And that's my favorite thing to actually, when we're talking to teams, to say, hey, instead of having a meeting about this thing, how about we just get together and do the thing? Because half the time we talk about the thing in more length than the time it actually takes to do it.
And how many meetings will we not have to go to if we all did that?
Yes.
Which will be a productivity hack for everyone. Okay, cool. So is there anything that you do personally to set up for a productive day?
One of my fave things to do now, it's weather dependent because I live in Queensland, so it can get quite hot in summer, but I absolutely love to work outside. So sitting outside on my deck, working for the day, it honestly just changes the vibe, and I am in my most productive zone. The other motivator for me is my spa is facing me all day, and so I tell myself that if I get through my power list, I can go on my spa in the afternoon. So having that little bit of a reward as well helps me set up for a productive day if you're a competitive person like I am.
And you love to achieve stuff, so you love having little rewards and incentives that you do for yourself.
Yeah, and so it works for me. That might not work for everyone, but thinking about what are the things that you need to do to start your day productively. So like we said, like exercise or your coffee, your Red Bull, no sugar, what is that? What does your environment look like? So how's your office set up? Do you have a comfortable chair? Is it sitting outside in the sunshine, soaking that up? And then, are the rewards and motivators going to help get you through? So you just need to think about what's actually going to motivate you in terms of your productivity.
I think the environment is really important. I find that if I'm working from my normal kind of office, I don't tend to do creative work there because I'm there almost every day. Like, we work fully remote. But if I'm working in a different space, I can do different types of work. So I think it's really important to work out. And the other thing, this is random, but the other thing I'm thinking about lately is sometimes when I feel like I need to do deep work that I have to smash out, if I'm in active wear and I'm working from home and I have no meetings, I'm like, I've got my joggers on, I'm in my active wear and I'm like, I am going to do some really hard work. Like it's literally like I will sit at this desk and I will feel like I'm exerting myself just at my laptop.
Love that. Choose what costume makes you most productive for the day.
Oh, I love the costume idea. Okay, cool. So we're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, I want to ask you how you prioritise your work. If you want to grow in your career, I just wanted to remind you about our book, Sort Your Career Out and Make More Money. Glenn James and I have written this book to help you with any kind of career crisis, but also those things that you want, like getting a promotion, making more money, moving into a leadership role, or if it's time to quit your job. You can find our book wherever you get good books from, or you can listen on the audiobook, Sort Your Career Out and Make More Money. Now let's get back to the show. One of the things a lot of us struggle with is that feeling of overwhelm. And when we look at our list, we're like, oh my gosh, there is so much to do and not enough time to do it. How do you prioritise your work?
One of our clients, Brisbane Airport, we ran this with recently, and we looked at the work and we went, what do we want to double down on? What do we want to deprioritise? And what do we need to delete? So under each one, in Double Down, we look at what are the strategic priorities? What in my role is my biggest measure of success? And so what do I need to double down and focus on? And then for deprioritise, we looked at what are the things that I would like to get done, what are important to get done, but they're not important right now and they're not the most strategic things. So we want to deprioritise those to a later date. Then my absolute favourite, what are the things we need to delete? So these are the things that, like, think about those things that have been in your to-do list for like 3 months and that you never actually get the time to do. Just take it off the list. It doesn't need to be on there. Nothing's happened since it hasn't gotten done. Also, what are the things that are not directly impacting your success right now? Think about the things that have been on your list for 3 months that you haven't gotten to. Well, if you haven't gotten to it in 3 months, you probably don't need to get to it. So just take it off the list. Take that pressure off yourself and off your shoulders. And if it comes off the list, trust me, you're going to feel heaps better. And then also have a look at what are the things that currently aren't bringing me further towards my goals or in my role, my key areas of achievement. There's some good questions to ask yourself on whether it actually needs to keep getting done.
I think the important thing to call out with the difference between like those three categories. So what do I need to double down on? The checkpoints we have and the self-assessment you need to do is this work contributing to the business strategy in meaningful ways? Is this work aligned with our values as an organisation? Is this work high impact? They're the things you want to double down on. If you think about this deprioritised space, it's like the space of like, it is important, but maybe not now. So it's usually a sequencing issue. Like it's like a timing thing where we go, oh, okay, like how do we get to that and at what point in the financial year or whatever like kind of timeline your business works to, do we want to get to that? So we might go, that particular work right now, it's not high impact, but it will become high impact in 6 months' time when this next thing happens. So then we'll move it into the double down phase. And then that delete thing, the funny thing with delete, like I look at my own task list and in any job I've ever worked in, there's always way more tasks to do than time to do it. And I think that's that Parkinson's law idea where Parkinson's law is that work expands to the amount of time available. So if you have 10 days available to do a project, you'll take the 10 days. If you have 2 days to do that exact same project, you'll figure out how to do it in the 2 days. It's just that the quality might not be there. But it's this idea that work expands. So finding what we can delete is really difficult. And I think that's where most of us have the challenge because we're like, well, what is or isn't a non-negotiable? And often we go to our managers with this list of like, hey, I can't do all these things, but can we like look at what we can move off? And they are also similar to us. And like, I don't know, like I also want to do all the things because I feel like we all want to achieve heaps and get heaps of stuff done. Do you have any other ways of deciding how we make those deletes to like things that, you know what, that's not driving value, so get it off the list?
Yeah, so a really quick hack on that is to look at what are the 3 key measures or what are the 3 things that would define success for your role? And so think about that. And then when you go to your list, if there's things on there that don't fit in those 3 key areas of success for your role, that's a pretty good indicator that you can probably drop those things. One of the things that actually helped me with this a lot when looking at Parkinson's law, which is the work expands to the amount of time we have, is often in Australia, like it's Aussie culture, we say we're so busy. Everyone's busy. It's like a badge of honor in Australia. That's like, oh, how are you going? Oh, yeah, I've been really, really busy. And it really started to bug me. And so I started to think, what would it look like if I eliminated the word busy out of my vocabulary? And I just worked out how to focus on what I needed to focus on each day. Because I have a job, I have work to do, and so I need to actually just come and complete it in that time. And so I think if we just actually stop walking around with this mentality that we feel so busy all the time, it actually frees us up to think, okay, how can I just make the best use of my time?
I love that so much. I think that's a really helpful reframe of it's not about how busy I am, but it's how do I best use the time that I have. And it is a really nice reframe. And I've definitely got stuck in the trap of being like, I'm so busy, I'm drowning. And meanwhile, I've been scrolling the interwebs for 6 hours a day or something. Anyway.
Don't look at your screen time. That's scary. Not a productivity hack I recommend.
There should be some kind of blocker of I need to block the tracker that tracks my screen time because that is also not good for my mental health. Anyway.
100%.
Okay, so what else do you think is really important for people to consider when they're thinking about how they become more productive?
Yeah, so I think the thing that helped me the most was actually at the start of my career when I got my first office job. And I really wanted to be good at my job. And so I just decided, I worked in a small business and I just decided, actually, I'm going to be the go-to for things. And I'm going to figure out how to do things I don't know how to do. So instead of saying it's not my job, instead of saying I don't know how to do this, I was like, how can I have a curious mind and learn how to do things? And sometimes learning how to do new things can actually make you so much more productive and so much more valuable in your role, because I always wanted to be constantly learning and growing and upskilling. And that's actually just helped me be more productive in my role because I'm learning new things, learning how to do new things that really just help me be better at what I do.
I think an example that you've spoken to me about, and curiosity is a superpower, and I think in the climate that we're in and the skills that we'll need for the future, curiosity will be one of the single greatest skills you can bring to your job because your ability to learn makes you employable into the forever realms of the world. I don't know.
100%. And you never have to be scared of being made redundant if you're curious and you're constantly learning. Because you've always got new skills.
I feel like that thing of for you, one thing I know, you want to learn all the things. And one thing, we're both from HR. So HR, one of the struggles sometimes in HR is that we don't often know how to market ourselves and we don't have some of the skills that other teams have. And this is a generalization, but go with me on it. Being able to market yourself across the business or being able to do sales and various skills that come really naturally to other departments and industries. And you've really tried to develop in that area. What things do you do that help you to learn and grow? Because I know you just got super into sales and marketing lately.
Well, podcasts? No, I do. I actually love listening to podcasts on my morning walks. That's just one of the things. So I actually make productive use of my exercise time. Now, if you don't find that relaxing, I'm not saying you have to do that as a hack, but for me, it's, getting the exercise to help me focus and learning while I'm doing it. So that's probably one of the biggest things. And then it is actually just, if I'm curious about something, it's literally as simple as Googling it and just going on different places and learning until I find the right resources to learn about it, the right video or the right book. And then just go away and learn the thing and then actually just have a go. And just it's that idea of a scrappy first draft. Just give it a go for the first time, see what works, see what doesn't.
I do like the scrappy first draft because I think when you're in that test and learn phase and you don't have to show up as a perfectionist, you're you know what? It's going to be shitty first go at this, but we'll get there and I'll use what I'm learning. And we were talking about some stuff that you're doing in the marketing space this morning and you're we just have a go. And I'm I think about probably I've known you for a long time and one of the things when I first met you, I would have probably described you as a perfectionist. And then now to where you are now, where you're able to just try heaps of different stuff, try, fail, learn, grow on repeat all the time. And I think that is an absolute superpower because the ability to stay curious when you're trying new things and you feel a bit nervous and you're putting yourself out there and you're doing all this stuff, that to me is such high value compared to what I see for people who are perfectionists and myself having kind of as a recovering perfectionist, where you get stuck in that fear of what other people think or fear of failure and you don't try new things because you're afraid to be found out, but then you miss all the learning opportunities that come with the failures, the learning and the testing and the experimenting.
100%. And it's firstly, it's usually not as bad as you think when you just give it a go. You actually usually do better than you think you're going to do. But if you take that scrappy first draft approach, it takes all the pressure off you and you're actually going to be more productive as a result. And you're just going to get something out. And so telling yourself, hey, it's just a first go. It doesn't really matter how it lands. You're going to be more productive and it's going to be better than you think. And if you fail, you're going to learn.
Let's close out this conversation with one final thought. And I've just been thinking about this heaps lately. So we're going to go there.
Okay. Where are we going?
We're going.
I have no idea.
Where are we going? Where are we going? I've been thinking heaps lately about toxic productivity. I kind of feel like it's like the diet culture of work. What are your thoughts on when productivity is healthy versus when it gets kind of unhealthy? I've put you on the spot.
Yeah, you have put me on the spot.
Sorry.
And I'm because I'm a workaholic, so I'm really bad at answering this question. I think when productivity gets to an unhealthy space is when it actually is making you more anxious about thinking about productivity or if it's impacting your relationships. I think when those things that are really important and key to your core values start getting impacted, that's when there's kind of an idea that you've headed into that toxic zone. But I think if you're genuinely loving what you're doing, you're enjoying what you're doing, and you're staying true to your values and who you are, then I think it's good. It's good to love productivity.
I also think a good sense check when it comes to productivity being healthy or toxic is this thing or behavior going to be sustainable in the long term? So if you can do that sense check of is the way that I'm currently behaving or the way that I'm currently thinking about productivity going to be sustainable, going to give me energy, or is it a really short-term focused thinking? That's where we start to see this tipping point towards toxic productivity. So I'll give you an example. I remember back in my early part of my career, I would only ever eat lunch at my desk. And I would eat lunch within 10 minutes. I would never, ever take a break. And it wasn't because I felt like I needed a break. It was that I felt like I didn't have any time at all to stop. And if I felt like if I stop, I'm going to lose momentum and progress and I cannot afford to take any time. And so that for me was a signal now looking back of that toxic productivity mindset, because had I known actually brain breaks, which is Jess Spenlove's kind of concept when she's a nutritionist and high performance coach, brain breaks help you be more productive. So it's really counterintuitive, like going for a walk outside for 15 minutes, having a 15-minute break where you're off technology actually helps you to refocus and be more productive in your next kind of slot of work. But for me, I was like, I can't afford to take half an hour. I cannot. That's going to set me back. And I was counting the minutes like you would count calories, obsessing over, I cannot stop doing this. I cannot stop. And ultimately, ended up going through major burnout. And I think I look back now and go, the difference between toxic productivity and healthy productivity is that healthy productivity should be sustainable in the long term, which is why the daily walks thing has been such a win for me, because I'm this is a healthy habit that I can sustain and it actually makes me a better performer.
100%. And it's this idea, even if you did all those things, you skipped lunch break, you sat and you ate at your desk, it's that idea, that Parkinson's law thing again. The work expands to the time that you allocate towards it. So I love, some of the workplaces we've been talking to have been challenging them, shorten down your meetings. See if you can actually, instead of scheduling an hour, because that seems to be the default, schedule it to be a 15-minute or a half an hour meeting. And we bet you that you will get through the same amount that you would have done if you had the hour slot. And so I think it's just this thing of, you're 100% right, Shell. If it's not sustainable, if it's not something you can keep up in the long run, that's toxic productivity.
I'm so glad that we've had this conversation, because I'm always learning so much from you every day when you're helping me with all the things, and you're amazing at what you do in so many ways. And I just want to say thank you so much for coming on the pod. We've been meaning to do this for ages, and thanks for putting up with me for the last 7 years. You are a true hero in so many ways. If you enjoyed the episode, give us a 5-star rating and review on Spotify or Apple. And you can find Annabelle Bishop on LinkedIn. We'll put her LinkedIn in the show notes. And thanks for hanging out.
Thanks for having me, Shell.
We acknowledge the traditional custodians of the lands on which we live and work, and pay respects to their elders past, present and emerging. We extend that respect to Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander peoples who may listen to this podcast.
Before you do anything meaningful with your money, you need to be able to control your money. I can help. The Glen James Spending Plan is a complete spending plan budgeting system that will show you how to manage your money. It includes a downloadable spreadsheet that will tell you how much to put into what account each week, and you will get control over your money within 2 pay cycles. Thousands of people have used the Glen James Spending Plan, and it is now free. So download the Glen James Spending Plan and enroll today.